Hello, my name is Anna Jerbseth, and I'm here today to talk to you about an epidemic. No, not that epidemic. This one has a lot more to do with addiction, death, and drugs. Addiction is a very powerful thing, and the people who live with it often have a lower quality of life. It's a criminal charge to be caught with the thing that these addicts think is their entire life. It's criminalized to a point where they will lose their freedom for something that they feel that they can't live without. Today, I'm here to persuade you that safe shoot-up injection sites, medical facilities, should be made available to the biggest populations of drug users in the cities that have been hit the worst with the opioid crisis. Today we'll look at the problems, the causes, and the solutions, and hopefully find something that will eventually help reduce the harm that opioids has done to America. So let's jump into the problem. Addiction can't be managed alone. It just doesn't work. That's why we see so many AA groups and things like that. And junkies shouldn't be just left to the streets. They're sick people. They can't do this alone, and we shouldn't expect them to. There's no way to clean yourself up and pick yourself back up when you have no idea where to start. The EU Monitoring Center for Drugs and Drugs Addiction has been operating with these safe injection sites for 3 decades, with medical professionals that help inject, safely deliver, and keep them from overdosing and dying. And it has been running for 3 decades successfully. The Stanford Social Innovation Review has a first-hand account of a person who has just come out of the facility, and he says, had he not gone to this facility in Barcelona, he would be dead and robbed, dead in the street. He now has a social worker who claims that he has done no crime since going to this clinic. No crime. He has changed his ways and become a better citizen because somebody expected something from him, and a social worker worked with him to get him to a place where he doesn't feel like he needs to hurt anyone so that he can have this addiction. Another very, very big problem with the opioid crisis that hopefully these shoot-up centers would solve is the sharing of needles. Opioid users don't really think about cleanliness when they're shooting up, and so they share needles between each other, which causes HIV, the spread of HIV. The BBC says that in the 1990s, when the Vancouver outbreak was at its biggest, HIV had an outbreak so large they hadn't seen anything like it in North America. In fact, they hadn't seen anything like it in not only North America, but anywhere other than sub-Saharan Africa, which we all know has a very big problem with HIV spreading. NC Health News tells us that in these facilities, users are given a new needle every time, and when they're done with it, it is taken and confiscated and disposed of correctly. Another thing opioid users aren't really thinking about as they're shooting up: a clean needle and safe disposal so that no one else can get their hands on it. Now that we've seen some of the problems and hopefully the solutions that will be provided by these safe shoot-up centers, let's look at the reason why we have not seen them popping up all over the nation. Well, people don't like it. There's a lot of city opposition So when a citizen hears that there's going to be a new shoot-up site in their city, they aren't exactly pleased. I'm sorry. So city opposition is definitely one of the biggest reasons why we haven't seen many of these addiction sites popping up. So the Boston Globe says that if they open up a safe injection site, it will seem to drug users that Massachusetts is allowing everyone to use opioids. It's not true. It won't be legalized. It's not a legal thing, but they will be allowing the drug into the system that has killed so many people. And the Boston Globe says that it is not okay for them to release this drug out into the public. And CNN and the National Safety Council also claim that it is more likely to die of a opioid overdose than it is a vehicle crash. So you are more likely to die of an OD than crashing a vehicle, which is unprecedented in America, that this has become such a problem. It's more deadly than crashing your vehicle. Another reason why we don't see these facilities popping up everywhere to help druggies of our nation is because the citizens are scared that it will bring drugs and drug dealers and drug money and crime into their neighborhood, which they are not excited about. CNN reports that one of the council members in Philadelphia who was overseeing the project of a new drug injection facility in the city revoked his support for this facility after seeing the Vancouver facility that I've been frequently referencing. So the Vancouver facility is basically the model of what everything should be. But when the city councilman came to look at what the facility really did for the community, he saw that it was dirty and gross and that the addicts had created a space that was unsafe for other people. And of course, this makes sense. It's not like going in, these injection sites require you to bring your own drugs, but they provide the needles. It's not exactly safe for the rest of the community to be in an area where there's so much drugs just being trafficked around everywhere. But in the 1990s, again, according to the BBC, Vancouver, that area in Vancouver was so deadly in the opioid crisis that people were dying in alleyways. And people would wake up and think, which neighbor is dead today? Who overdosed last night? And which funeral will I be attending soon? Because no one was safe from it. Everyone had the addiction. Everyone needed a place to shoot up safely, and so many were dying and dead in the streets that it was overwhelmingly the only solution was to just give them a place where they could do it safely. So now that we've seen some of the problems and some of the causes, let's look at a solution. So one of the solutions for keeping the drugs off the streets and crime out of the neighborhood was perpetrated by was another solution from Canada. In the same area as the Vancouver drug injection site, there is a place called Providence Crosstown Clinic, and they provide the heroin. Safe, medical-grade heroin that's clean in a clean needle, hasn't been touched by anyone else, did not come from the streets, administered and regulated by the clinic so that they didn't have to go and find a drug dealer on the street to come in and inject. Which, Giving people heroin, probably not going to sound like the best idea, but it's definitely a better solution than having everyone go out and find their own, which is not safe for the neighborhood. Another way to persuade people into saying yes to this kind of thing is to educate them on the nature of addiction. The cities that have these injection sites, these safe injection sites, they don't have them because they want them. They have them because everybody knows somebody who has died from the addiction, died of the HIV, or is in such deep sorrow that that is the only thing they turn to. Everyone knows someone with the addiction in these cities, in these where it's just rampant. They know, everyone knows. Everyone has felt the sorrow and the loss of this opioid epidemic, and that's why they have them. That's why they have a safe injection site, because they don't want any more of their citizens going to that dark place. Which is totally understandable when you think about just the amount of people who have died from this. The education of the nature of an addiction, it comes through experience, and experiencing it through your friends and watching people go through the downfall of the addiction. And that is why they know that the best cause or the best solution for their city is a place where they can do it safely, so that they don't have to wonder if their best friend who's an opioid addict is dead in the streets. They know where they are and they know that they're safe. So now that we've looked at the problem, the cause, and hopefully a solution, I just want to leave you with this. The next time your city, your state, or your country is voting on something that has to do with addiction, let's listen to the addicts, because it seems like they know best. Maybe not best, but they definitely know the most about what they're going through. And having recovered addicts in the conversation, telling us what they needed at the moment of their darkest point, that is what we should be listening to. The people who have gone through it and who know the best solution. And if you need help with an addiction or a crisis, there are so many places to go and find help. They might not be injection sites, especially in California, but there are places to go. And reach out if you need help. Thank you so much.